My dad works in B2B marketing, but I never really knew what that meant. Then one day my dad came by my school for career day and told everyone in my class he was a big MQL man. Then he just kept saying things like, the more MQLs the better, over and over. My friends still laugh at me to this day. I think it means marketing qualified lead. One thing's for sure, I'll be known as the MQL man's kid for the rest of my days. Why couldn't you just be a fireman or a lawyer? Why? You ruined my life, Dad.
Not everyone gets B2B, but LinkedIn has the people who do. And with ads on LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people based on job title, industry, likelihood to buy, and more. Start converting your B2B audience into high-quality leads today. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/customer to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/customer. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
This is Tanya Rad from Scrubbing In with Becca Tilley and Tanya Rad. This is what you do when you've just found that statement handbag on eBay and you want to build an entire wardrobe around it. You start selling to keep buying. Yep, on eBay. Over that all black everything phase, list it and buy all the color. Feeling more vintage than ever? It's out with the new and in with the pre-loved. Next thing you know, you've refreshed your wardrobe basically without spending a dime. Yeah, eBay. The place to buy and sell new, pre-loved, vintage, and rare fashion. eBay. Things people love.
Are your lingering depression symptoms getting in your way? If you're on an antidepressant for major depressive disorder, MDD, and you've made some progress, but your unresolved symptoms leave you feeling stuck, it may be time to ask your doctor about Vraylar, cariprazine. Vraylar is a prescription medicine approved for use with antidepressant medicines to treat MDD in adults. Adding Vraylar to an antidepressant is clinically proven to help relieve overall depression symptoms better than an antidepressant alone. Results may vary. Build on the progress you've already made. Ask your doctor if adding on Vraylar to your current antidepressant could help give you a lift in relief. Vraylar is not approved in elderly patients with dementia-related psychosis or for people under 18. Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Report unusual changes in behavior or suicidal thoughts. Antidepressants can increase these in children and young adults. Report fever, stiff muscles, or confusion, as these may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High blood sugar, which can lead to coma or death, weight gain, and high cholesterol may occur. Difficulty moving, tremors, slow or uncontrolled body movements, restlessness, feeling like you need to move around, nausea, constipation, insomnia, dizziness, increased appetite, and fatigue are common side effects. Side effects may not appear for several weeks. For a lift in relief, ask about adding Vraylar, Vraylar. Visit Vraylar.com or call 1-877-6-VRAYLAR to learn more.
This is Dr. Laurie Santos from the Happiness Lab. Many people have questions about how to improve levels of happiness. Living a healthy lifestyle is one sure way of increasing happiness, and a good place to start is with your oral health. Just a few small changes to your oral care routine, such as changing your toothpaste to Colgate Total, can lead to beneficial changes in your oral health. Colgate Total helps stop oral health problems like gingivitis and cavities before they start, because preventing oral health problems is a lot easier than treating them. Be dentist ready and get Colgate Total at shop.colgate.com/total.
Did you know that 1 in 8 kids in Atlanta will go hungry tonight? Eating healthy, balanced meals is essential for kids to learn and grow. That's why Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield and education nonprofit Common Threads have teamed up to help schools learn about healthier food preparation. In Atlanta, they're joined by The Dream and will provide education, recipes, and knowledge to students and families about healthier options. Visit anthem.com/dream to learn more. Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield is the trade name of Blue Cross Blue Shield Healthcare Plan of Georgia, Inc.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel Zoe, and you're listening to Climbing in Heels for your weekly dose of glamour, inspiration, and, of course, fun. If you're a makeup lover, this episode is for you. The extraordinary, incomparable Gucci Westman is on the podcast today sharing her incredible story about being one of the most sought-after makeup artists to truly Hollywood's A-list from the time I started. And she is still completely on top of her game. Gucci's also the founder of her incredible clean makeup line, Westman Atelier. I love and adore Gucci so much. She's a friend. She is an inspiration. And there's so much. I cannot wait for you to hear her story. I actually learned so much. I'm so excited about how she grew up, where she grew up, and how she is married to her business partner. So lots to get into, and also a mother of 3. So let's jump in. What I want to talk about is, I was lucky enough to meet you very early on in my career, but you were already, when I met you, which I want to say was like 2004 or 5, something crazy like that.
Mm-hmm.
You were already at that point, meaning very young, already like the most sought after, like in Hollywood, because I had just come here and I was working with, Cameron Diaz and a lot of women who were like, oh my God, can you get Gucci Westman? Oh my God, wait, Gucci Westman's going to come to her. Gucci's doing her for the premiere. So like, and it was sort of like, okay, if Gucci's doing somebody, none of us have to worry about anything. We're like, okay, we don't have to tell anything. So I want to talk about your sort of beginning for a minute, just sort of like, where did you grow up and how on earth did you say like, I'm going to be a makeup artist? Like what, how does that happen?
A really good question. So I was born in California and my parents were kind of hippie-ish. We lived in an ashram for a short amount of time, which is where my name came from. And it was a nickname of, like a Hindu name. And then my dad is Swedish. So we moved to Sweden when I was I was 10.
From California.
Yeah.
That's a huge shift. Okay.
That's talk about heavy lift.
Yeah.
That was considered I think a heavy lift. I don't even believe I owned socks at the time. Seriously, I was like, great, thanks. I didn't speak Swedish. I didn't have socks. And then we didn't just move to Sweden, but we moved to one of the most northern parts of Sweden, to Umeå, which is on the very northern tip.
And why was that? I'm just curious, because you had these very bohemian parents, right?
Yeah.
These very hippie dip parents who gave you the coolest name in history that I'm sure every day of your life someone says, is that your real name, right?
Yeah, so last night I was sitting next to Sunrise Ruffalo.
Yes, love her.
And she goes, so tell me about your name. It's unique. And I was like, says Sunrise.
Right, exactly.
And then I told her and I was like, so what's the story with your name? And she's like, I was born at sunrise. I was like, oh, okay.
Wait, I would have thought that Gucci came from like Italian parents born in Milan. I'm sure. Okay.
That's what everyone thinks.
Right, of course.
No.
Okay,
anyway,
so you moved to Sweden, Gucci. So you moved to Sweden with the name Gucci.
My dad is Swedish, and that's
okay.
There. He was completing art school.
Okay.
And he had a course there he wanted to complete, and he wanted us to grow up, and he wanted us to live in Sweden. And so I lived there for 25 years. And I think a lot of my, I guess my really formative years happened in Sweden, as in where my true values lie, and just, believing in quality. Over and over, I have to say, I go back to growing up that way, and with my parents being really interested in ingredients and what are we eating and is it necessary, and that's been my whole life.
Really?
Yeah.
Before it was a thing, and before it was like cool, and before it was like,
it was always,
what is clean? You're like, everything I've ever eaten in my first 25 years of life was clean and unprocessed. Yes.
It was, everything was always like that in our family. I didn't know anything different. And so I did rebel for a period of time. I would take my lunch money and buy candy as much as I could.
Of course, we all do.
We weren't allowed to have sugar. It was crazy. We weren't allowed to have anything that was like for a moment, they were super strict for a while, like nothing processed in our kitchen. It was like, I'm never inviting anyone over. It's so weird.
Was not everybody in Sweden like that? Were you like stood out?
No one was even vegetarian. I was like, great. Not only do I have this weird name and you guys like sing like these Hindu songs on Thursdays and meditate all the time. There's pictures of all these gods everywhere.
Oh my God.
Not only that, but I'm vegetarian. I like, nobody eats like that. And so
that's so funny. Wait, so do you have siblings or are you an only?
No, I have 3 brothers.
You have 3 brothers?
Yes.
Okay, so it must have been also really hard for them.
I mean, no, they were younger.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It was,
you were the oldest.
Honestly, it was the hardest for me because I was 10.
Right.
I was leaving my friend group and I didn't speak the language, and I struggled for a bit, and then I was super grateful. All I remember is being so grateful for having grown up there.
Right. Well, because I would imagine now it's like, thank God, right? Like that was the greatest gift your parents could have. I would do anything to raise my kids in like countryside of Sweden right now.
Yeah, I think it was a really nice, blessing in disguise, that just to be exposed to that cultural aspect that is so rich.
Yeah.
And I would have never, I have to say, my little friends that I was hanging out with in Claremont, which is where I lived before we moved, they were like smoking pot and drinking it. Like I was 10. So like before that, they were smoking pot and drinking. And I luckily never wanted to do that. I knew somehow that it was wrong. And I also probably knew that my parents would get really mad, but
same.
I guess I had more supervision than some of my other friends. And yeah, I did feel really grateful because also when you're in Europe, you're so much closer to everything.
Everything. You can jump out to anywhere. I know. Yeah. It's so much better. It's so much better.
Yeah, I like it. I just feel like, I can go and be an au pair in Switzerland, or I can go live in France for a summer, and it's easy. You take a train, or, it's not like such a big deal.
Well, wait. So, okay. So you're in Sweden. You live there for 25 years. What happens? Do you like go to college? Like, tell me about like, how do you wake up? Are you like, I'm not this kind of person. I want to be an artist. Because clearly, so your dad was an artist. Yes.
Yes.
That's important. Yeah.
So he is very creatively gifted, and he's really
like
talented. Well, he's also very good at computer graphics, and he's a little bit more technical, I think, than I am.
Yeah.
I'm more seriously creative as opposed to like mathematical.
Same.
That's definitely not my in my wheelhouse, sadly. When it's so funny when people ask, when we do interviews, and they're like, so what is your EBITDA, or what do you just an example, like what are your that's how it sounds to me.
Of course.
Like, what are you doing now, resale versus now? I mean, I'm like, let me get David. It's like, please don't make me sound like so basic.
Of course.
I'm trying to.
But by the way, Gucci, that's totally, and I really want to talk about that because I think it's really important. So, okay, so you come up, so you're like, okay, when do you decide that you want to be a makeup artist? Because I want to go back to this because I want to talk about working with your husband as your business partner. Yeah. Because it wasn't always, and B, talking about the different roles and how important that is, because I do think that's really important. But I first want to talk about how you became Gucci Westman. Like, how does that even happen? It's hard.
Oh, well, so my parents are both academic. My mom is an English teacher, was an English teacher for her entire career. My dad, is very creative, but he also had taught computer graphics or art graphics at universities. And I sat with them after I finished. It's a little bit different in Sweden, but I did this language course in what's kind of, the comparison is high school. It's called gymnasium.
Okay.
So it's 4 years. And after I finished that, I sat with them and I said that I definitely wanted to take a year to see what I wanted to do. And they were like, very open and supportive about that.
Bless.
And I know. So that was very, that's such a big part of it though.
It is. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to downplay that, because a lot of women I have on the pod, the parents are like, no, you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, or like from this day forth, you're cut off, or from, no matter how much money they had or didn't have, it was sort of like, you're done. Yeah. We're done. We love you, but like, go be free.
Yeah. And that is a huge part of it, because just understanding that there are so many different types in the world.
Yeah.
And so I then went off to Switzerland to be an au pair and perfect my French. And also, that's a long story, but I lived with this family, and the mother was a fashion journalist, and she would give me boxes and boxes of makeup. And I, growing up, also wasn't allowed to wear makeup, which is kind of ironic, and it made me really into it because I wasn't allowed to, of course.
Yes, but here's the funny part about it. You have the most non-makeup makeup. Like, I always say to you, you look like you have nothing on, but you're like, okay, let me tell you what I have on. But that's
you.
But I think that's your gift, is that you can do that.
I have a lot going on, I would say. I mean,
but you have Westman Atelier, so it's like it all ties back and it all works, and it's that fresh, beautiful face. It doesn't matter if it is or not. It just matters that it looks that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think that aesthetic is, there's an appetite for that sort of just enhancing yourself.
Yes.
Yes. So you look like Rachel, who's hot and beautiful and gorgeous, and you still can feel special. And
you still got to cover what needs to be covered.
Yeah, you want to cover what needs to be covered, but the way you want it to be for you. And
totally.
It's not for the approval of others or anything like that. It is really for you and your kind of personal joy and confidence and all those things. Anyways, so the mother and the family, I was very interested in makeup, and I also wanted to continue with the languages. So I had a few different ideas after I spent, I think, 9 or 10 months in Switzerland. I thought, well, maybe I want to be a translator, because I know.
I don't know why that makes me laugh.
I know.
I don't know why that makes me laugh. It's because I only know you as you, so I'm having the visual. Okay.
Yeah. So that was a serious consideration for a while, because I do sort of have an ear for language, and I thought maybe that would be what I'm supposed to do. Or then I also thought I wanted to be a professional horse jumper.
Okay. And that makes more sense to me. Okay.
Well, that is also way more expensive to sustain.
Yes.
So that wasn't really an option. And then I did really like this makeup concept. And I would also go to fashion shows in Paris, and I thought, ooh, there's something to that. And she helped me find a school in Paris called Christian Chavot École de Maquillage. Mm-hmm. And I ended up going there because I thought, and it was actually in French. And I thought, if I'm not good at makeup, at least I didn't waste my time because it's in French.
Sure.
So that was my thought
rationalization,
process.
Right?
I was there for 4 months, and then I felt like I got enough. It was like longer, but I felt like I got enough.
Okay.
After that, I wanted to go to I wanted to see if I would like movies or movie makeup. It was just trying to cover all the bases.
Sure.
and not waste time. So then I went to LA and did a really crappy course called Joe Blasco.
Okay.
Where they asked me to be a teacher after 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that shows you what sort of quality that was.
No, or it shows that you stood out. It could be that too. Okay.
Still in 2 weeks, I was like, are you serious? I don't even know what I'm doing here. But so I did that, and I was kind of, twiddling my thumbs for a little bit, and I met Casey Storm, somewhere in that first 6 months or so.
And how old were you at this point, Gooch? Like
I was
20?
I was maybe 24, 25.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And at
So,
that point you were like, I'm living in LA. I want to stay here.
well, I didn't know that at that point, but yeah, it was kind of becoming more and more clear. I just felt there was more opportunity.
Okay.
And then I met Spike Jones through Casey. And after that first meeting where I thought I totally wasn't sure if he liked me or not, because he was so kind of difficult to read.
Uh-huh.
I was like, okay. And he did I don't even think he said anything. I don't remember. But then suddenly I did, every commercial and every music video and everything with him for a long time. And then I did Being John Malkovich.
Wow.
And just before that, I had met Cameron and had done a few things with her, but not that many things. And it was actually Spike who wanted me to do the movie, not Cameron. Spike wanted me to do everyone.
Right.
Because I didn't know Cameron that well at the time, but we became close on that movie. And I did makeup. John Malkovich, Cusack,
Wow.
Keener, Cameron.
Wow. So men and women, because that's a whole different thing, grooming. It's, I think that's like a whole nother, not many people are strong in doing men's grooming and women, truthfully.
Yeah. Well, I think also it's having done a lot of commercials and music videos. I really understood, and I really responded to this idea of characters.
Yeah.
And
lighting.
Yeah. And not being distracted by the look of a person. If you're watching a movie and Rachel, you feel like the clothing doesn't look authentically distressed.
Sure.
It's distracting.
Yep.
And it's the same with the makeup. If I'm looking at a guy who's supposed to look like he's beat up or something, and he's not, it doesn't look real, then I'm not going to believe it. And it's going to be annoying and it's going to look cheap.
Sure.
So that was a big part of how I viewed makeup, full stop.
That's also a really big skill set that I also want to address, because film makeup is so far different than red carpet or like photo shoot makeup. It's a totally different thing.
Yeah.
And that is a skill in and of itself. And I very often say the best makeup artists in my career have always been artists that have worked on film, because it's a totally different thing.
I think it's a different thing, and it gives you a little bit more of perspective.
Yes.
And that was helpful for me. And I think the way I do makeup is very much, my own way, and what I feel best doing, what I like the best.
Of course.
Is very different from, Pat and, all these Lucia Peroni and all these artists who are so wildly talented, but they have, it's very fashion, and it's very sort of like a thing. And I love that. And I love getting my rocks off, but I also really appreciate, when I've finished someone's makeup and they're like, oh my God, I feel so beautiful. That moment,
that's the win. That's the win.
And it feels really good. And I love that. And I love, having the ability to access something slightly different about a person that, they may not have seen in themselves, or, not to be too kind of get it deep, but
No, I think it is deep. I
Yeah.
think it is deep. Makeup is the deepest, in my opinion, because I mean, I think coming up in this industry and working with so many of the most high profile people in the world, what I would say is that the biggest celebrities I know or have worked with, they are the most loyal
Mm-hmm.
to their makeup
Yeah.
people, because that is, in my opinion, the
Mm-hmm.
most vulnerable, right? So they're loyal to stylists, they're loyal to hair, but hair you can tweak, you can take it down if you don't like it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
When you're putting your face out there,
Yeah.
that to me, that is the most personal, that is the most exposed, that is the most vulnerable. And if you don't like your makeup, you literally talk different. You
Yeah.
look down, you
Yeah.
don't have the confidence. When they put that camera on you, you go like this. There's a difference, right?
Yeah.
But what I've realized, one of the biggest testaments to you, in my opinion, is that when I started my career and was working with these people, or like early in my career, you know, you were then the most sought after, but it was also what I find to be the most amazing is now, 20 years later,
Mm-hmm.
after launching your own brand, which I want to talk about, that still today you're still the most for so many. And the reason I want to talk about that is because I do think that in the last 5 to 7, 8 years, we've seen a huge trend towards, quite frankly, people looking unrecognizable in the heaviness of makeup. And I think, look, I'm not here to judge. I think I love makeup. You know, I love makeup.
Yeah.
But I think that there is a time right now where sometimes I literally don't know who somebody is when I first look.
Yeah.
Because I think they're actually somebody else.
Yeah.
I think that these faces are so painted.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what the artist loves in Godspeed. And I think that's great. But I guess when I'm turning on, like, let's just say Venice Film Festival, I think it was recently, or Nicole Kidman comes off a boat, and I believe you did her, or whatever it was. She just did a major thing where you did her for her. And it was you and I think a deer.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, those are my people. Like, well, because what I'll tell you is, at first I was like, God, she looks unreal. Like, she looks unreal. And she always looks unreal, but like noticeably just like the best version of her. And then I saw that it was you and a deer, and I was like, okay, this makes absolute sense to me. Totally unbiased, but I think because she looks like the most gorgeous version of herself, right? And I think that is your signature. And so I think it's important to talk about your success and how you've always stuck to your thing.
Yeah.
And so I want to talk about that. Honestly, I think it's important because you can lose your way, right? Like, as a hairstylist or a stylist, when there's a trend towards, like, whether it's grunge or whether it's like the naked trend or whatever, but that's not, you know, if I was still styling now, like, that's not my thing. I'm not doing that. Right.
No.
So how do you do that? Do you ever say, oh, maybe I should do more of that? Or like,
yeah, I for sure have gone through moments like that in my career where I've thought, you know, oh, maybe I should tweak my style a little bit, you know?
Yeah. Like, maybe I should go heavier. Like,
like a little personality crisis. And, you know, I feel like you're in a vulnerable position, putting yourself out there all the time with your name on something. And also, as you said, in fashion, it can be such a harsh environment, and it can be anything but sweet and compassionate. So, you know, you're putting yourself out there, and it's a lot of men, and it's a lot of, you know, just
competition.
Yeah, and it's not light. You
No,
know?
not.
So there is a lot of that. So of course you have moments of self-doubt. Plus, well, the addition to that that's really challenging, I think, for a freelance makeup artist is that there's no guarantee how long you're going to work, how much you're going to work, how, the same people you worked with for 5 years will hire you ever again. There's no, and that's
Terrifying.
it didn't feel very good.
No,
when
it doesn't.
Kind of thinking about, as a woman, you know, we like nurture, we like nurturing, you know, you like a certain amount of safety and knowing what to expect.
Yep.
But always being in this kind of position is hard. And I think, you know, I'll never forget, years ago, Joe McKenna said to me, years ago, I was just starting, and he said, "Oh, you're going to be like all the rest, and you're going to be married to your makeup bag." And I was like, "Oh no, I'm not. I'm definitely not going to be that."
This is what you do when you have high standards and fancy all the fancy things, like an iconic Dior saddlebag or that diamond tennis bracelet. You go to eBay. There you'll find new loves that will never disappoint, expertly authenticated and everything. Whether it's that vintage pearl necklace or brand new ruby earrings, a Prada crossbody bag to be besties with your other handbags, even an eternally classic watch like that Rolex Oyster or that Cartier Tank. You know the one. And when you find it, eBay has their experts' eyes to make sure you're getting the real deal. That way you can be confident that the designer finds you came for, the luxury wardrobe you've always wanted, it's all real. In fact, it's verified authentic. So bring your high standards and never limit what you can find. Yeah, eBay, the place for new, pre-loved, vintage, and rare fashion. eBay, things people love.
Mariah Carey's Christmas Time. Your favorite holiday tradition, live across North America. Mariah Carey, performing the best holiday songs and more. Get tickets now at livenation.com. A magical night with Mariah Carey's Christmas Time.
AI might be the most important new computer technology ever. It's storming every industry, and literally billions of dollars are being invested. So, buckle up. The problem is that AI needs a lot of speed and processing power. So how do you compete without costs spiraling out of control? It's time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. OCI is a single platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs. OCI has 4 to 8 times the bandwidth of other clouds, offers one consistent price instead of variable regional pricing, and of course, nobody does data better than Oracle. So now you can train your AI models at twice the speed and less than half the cost of other clouds. If you want to do more and spend less, like Uber, 8x8, and Databricks Mosaic, take a free test drive of OCI at oracle.com/strategic. That's oracle.com/strategic. oracle.com/strategic.
Sorry, Pumpkin Spice. This October is all about the beach. Cheap Caribbean Vacations is here to let you know that the fall is one of the best times to book and travel. Think about it. When the kids are back in school, you'll find more savings on flight fares and resort rates and less crowds taking up spots at the pool and beach. Check out Cheap Caribbean's Beachtoberfest sale for fall beach deals up to 60% off. And trick or treat yourself to an all-inclusive vacation. Go to cheapcaribbean.com to get started.
Did you know that 1 in 8 kids in Atlanta will go hungry tonight? Eating healthy, balanced meals is essential for kids to learn and grow. That's why Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield and education nonprofit Common Threads have teamed up to help schools learn about healthier food preparation. In Atlanta, they're joined by the Dream and will provide education, recipes, and knowledge to students and families about healthier options. Visit anthem.com/dream to learn more. Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield is the trade name of Blue Cross Blue Shield Healthcare Plan of Georgia, Inc.
But you can see how it happens, because you have to give up
Everything.
things that are not reasonable. You know, like give up your best friend's wedding, or, you know, like your mom's 60th or something like that. It's like these things
100%.
that you not have to ever, or not breastfeeding. You know, just those things where you're
That's
like,
what happened to me. I had to stop breastfeeding after 3 months because I was on set and I was traveling and I was like, I can't do this.
I know. I remember a stylist I'm not going to mention, but had his assistant come and get me out of the bathroom when I was pumping on a Sunday doing Interview Magazine, a men's shoot. So
I know who it was.
yeah, so that was like, oh, and then you just become so
Of course.
then you think that, oh my God, that's all, and it's all crazy too. Anyways, I sort of lost my train of thought, but
no, it becomes harder, and you're freelance, and it's scary, and people aren't nice, and you start to lose your way.
And I think also what helps with all of understanding your style, and that you possibly do have a style, which I certainly do. And I may have been in denial for a period of time when people would say, oh, you're known for the most beautiful natural makeup, or you're known for the natural skin. And it used to be so annoying to me. I used to think, can you not see what else I do?
Right.
That Vogue cover, or that French Vogue, or, and I used to always think to myself, gosh, I do have a range. Don't you see it? But it's just what is more intuitive to me.
Yeah,
and I think as you mature as a person and you feel more comfortable in your own skin, all of that feels better, and it feels like more something.
You're more confident.
And to own it. Yeah. And I just think that over, the years of people telling, wanting to hire me for the skin, and, I really do think that it obviously at some point has to trickle down even to me, like being half Swedish, having grown up in Sweden where no one's allowed to take a compliment. Oh no, not
same.
me.
By the way, same. I don't think anyone taught it to me. I actually think I just think it's women having to be retrained to be able to take a compliment. Yeah. I've never taken one and said thank you. There's always like a defense. No.
What? Why is that bad? Why? It's so interesting. And
you feel arrogant if you just say thank you. Somehow that feels arrogant.
Well, I know a girl who I actually will never forget this, but I did her makeup, and she's not a model, but she's very beautiful. And I'll never forget, I did her makeup for something, and I was like, gosh, she looks so beautiful. She's like, I know, thanks.
And you were like so caught off guard, right?
I know. What did you say? I was like, what is wrong with you? No, just kidding.
Isn't that wild? But it's like refreshing.
Yeah.
You're like, wait a minute. I actually think it was Kate Hudson. I will never forget. She actually looked in the mirror and was like, this is good. She was like, this is good, right? Yeah. And this was maybe 15, 20 years ago. And I was like, bitch is so confident. I fucking love her.
Yeah.
Like, why can't we all be like that? What is wrong? I had so much respect for her.
Same. Yeah. She can own her shit. Yeah.
100.
She really, but she does it gracefully, and she does it in a way where
it's real. She means it.
Inspiring.
Yes.
It feels kind of like, oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about launching your brand, because I think that there must have been this point. And I remember sitting at our friend's dinner outside in East Hampton many summers ago. I want to say it was like 2017 or 2018, very end of summer. And we were sitting next to each other, and you were about to launch your brand, and you were in a panic. You were so nervous. You were like, oh my God, Rachel, I don't like attention. The social media thing. Like I can't like do this. Like I can't be the person. I don't want to make it about me. Like, and I want to do organic, but then it expires. And there was all these things. You were like, I was like, Gucci, this is going to be like the best of the best. I just remember looking at you and being like, I cannot believe you're nervous. Like, I cannot believe you're anxious and I'll never forget the conversation, because you had so many questions and so many things and all the things. And then I remember it happening, and it was like, of course, but I imagine the thought process, and I want to hear what made you start it, was that at some point becoming a mom and working so hard. And I think realizing, to your earlier point, you didn't want to be that person married to their kit, right? Their makeup bag. And you needed to have something that you could touch. that was something you owned. That was something you could build, right? Beyond.
Yes, I did. And I think that, you can just continue to run in this circle where you're doing advertising, editorial, maybe you get a contract for 5 years here and there, something like that. You can just continue. And then suddenly you're 60 and then you're like, oh, whoa. Yeah. So I did have kind of an idea in my head when I wanted to sort of slow down the running to every single shoot,
And you were at Revlon for many years, right? You were like the creative director? What are your, and then Lancome, right?
I was at Lancome first, and then
major.
I was at Revlon.
This is major.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was interesting. And
it's a big deal, Gucci. Don't play it down.
Well, I always really liked the product aspect, and it was really rewarding to get to play with the, just work with the chemists and kind of think about what can we make that women globally will respond to, and we can actually see numbers and things. So I really found that very exhilarating, and also just the way in which I got to work with the chemists, especially at Lancome. I worked so closely with them, and I understood right away that that's where the magic happens. You have to work directly with them. I didn't want to work, have a person translating stuff for me. I wanted to be in the room with them. And so that's so they can hear your passion and all of that stuff. So nothing gets lost. But I did at some point after Revlon, because social media became such a big thing. So I couldn't just, start quietly working on my own brand while at Revlon. It just be possible.
Yeah.
So when I finished at Revlon, I was very close to licensing my name and for a professional line. And the night before, we were really deep in negotiations. And the night before the final signature, I was sitting with David, and when we lived in Chelsea, and I said, do you think this is right? Do you really think this is right? And he said, I don't know. You get one shot. Do you want this to be the shot? And I was looking at the deck, and there was like the fifth year was eyewear. And I was like, no, I don't think I want this to be the shot.
Wow.
Then we decided to move away from that, and it was awkward because that Christmas,
of course,
it was just like a month later, we went skiing, and the people that we were supposed to do the thing with were at the same place. It was so, like, they did not want to sit anywhere near us.
Yeah, of course.
I decided that, it came relatively quickly. It wasn't that quick, but at some point I thought, okay, I'm known for this skin, the quality of the skin, and my philosophy around the skin. So I want to create a system, and that's very edited, very intuitive, that's rooted in skincare, that is more, it's obviously clean. It's more than clean, but it also has these active skincare ingredients that are at maximum levels, the right delivery system, so they actually do something for your skin. Because I had rosacea for a long time, and I thought, I don't want to just, use foundation to put on my skin and correct it. I want to actually repair my skin.
Right.
I want to multitask. And so I wanted to peel back the layers and really work on this system and share this kind of philosophy with women, all over, because I feel like I knew how to make it easy.
Sure.
And of course, the products have to perform. The ingredients have to be phenomenal. We really have always worked with really premium, formulas, and they've all been customized for us. Nothing has been off a shelf, nothing packaging or formula. It's everything is always customized up until now. And it's still, one day, maybe I'm hoping we can make it easier, but it's not that way yet. And I just thought that this could be something. And we only had,
and it turns out, Gucci, that it is something. It's everywhere.
Well,
I mean, everywhere in a good way. It's not over distributed. It's just in all the best places. I mean, it's so good. How many products do you have now? Approximate 10, 30, 60?
Definitely not 60. When we met with Barney's, before we launched,
I remember.
Yeah, because we were launching in 2018. I feel like I kept asking you advice, but
I remember it. I remember seeing it for the first time.
Yeah, and we met with Barney's, and they said, "Oh, you have to launch with at least 65 SKUs." And we're like, "We might launch with like 9 or 10 or something like that." And they were like, "Okay, we'll take it." But they also, because we wanted it to be refill from the beginning,
right?
And that's not our customer. That's not going to work here.
Right.
And then, of course, we couldn't launch with something that they said wasn't going to work for their customers. So we had to sort of go back and do that, afterward. But that's okay. At least we didn't have to go back and reformulate.
Right.
But we started with a really small edit. And I remember to this day being in Barney's the day we launched, and this woman had her headphones on, and she was like walking straight toward the counter, and she was talking to somebody, and she was like, Where's the Westman Atelier? I heard it's launching today. And she had a British accent, and I started crying because she was.
Stop it.
I know. I was like, she's looking for our makeup.
Because it's like the first time you heard it in the wild and at Barney's.
Yes. And so I'm like, oh my God, this is actually here in real life. And I still get that, feeling. And I guess I feel so much validation now because there's so many different types of women, and there's so, many who are so generous with coming up and just saying different experiences they've had with different products and how they all almost always say that they feel their skin quality has improved.
Wow.
And we do work, with serious scientists. We're not playing around. So we're doing it definitely. I mean, David and I always joke we could have never done it harder, I don't think.
Right.
It's for sure the hardest way you could ever do.
But by the way, you can tell the difference. You see the difference. It's luxury. I think it's luxury makeup. I think it's worth I think it's absolutely fair. I don't think it's the most or the least. But it's so good. I have it all over my face. I probably need a touch up. But I just, it's like my 7 a.m. run out the door face. But so let's talk about working with your husband, because so David is a former very, very successful in the fashion industry, Rag and Bone. Some of you may have heard of it. But what made you make that decision? Because we are few and far between. Obviously, I have a different outcome right now, but it's been a great run. But I think I want to talk about it because I think there are many. I don't even want to say many. There are a handful of husband and wife partners that I know and have tremendous success, and it still really works. And so I want to talk about how you made that decision and how it's been, and are there challenges? And it doesn't have to be personal. It's just more.
Yeah. I think I've always held such tremendous respect for David and his intuition, his business sense. I feel like just to a large degree, we work together a lot at Rag and Bone too.
Right.
Because I brought all the actresses.
And you were also like a muse for the brand too. I think just by nature, I don't think,
Yeah, I feel like I helped with some of the clothing.
Yeah.
The perfume. It's just a lot of collaboration. So it's always been natural to us. But then I don't think I would have ever wanted to do this with anybody else because there's such inherent trust.
I know. That's what I always said.
Between the two of us. And I respect and value I would never question any of his
Right.
decisions when it comes to distribution cadence, when it comes to, you know, if he ever raises his voice on the phone with any business, any partner, I know that there's a reason for it, because he never does that. He's always very logical, he's just has this other, it's wild. He has a sixth sense when it comes to business, and we just don't ever need to step on each other's toes. The only thing I needed, you know, a little prodding on earlier in the game was making decisions, you know, sooner when it came to approving colors or,
of course.
You know, but now I have such a much bigger understanding for calendars. And I mean, this has been like, that was very early days when I would just.
But it's all learning process. That's building a business
process. But I think he also appreciates what I bring, and where we both come together, which is so fun, is the packaging, you know, the look and feel of the product and what we want it to look, you know, to look like. And we just both have.
I love the packaging.
You know, we love design and objects, and we've always.
The magnet.
Yeah.
Love the magnet.
It's so satisfying. Me too.
It is.
You know, we've always had this kind of flow when it came to aesthetic. It's never been a point of disagreement for us at home. It's always been, I love that. We've always.
It's great. That's so important and so rare. I also think it's very rare to me to find a person with a creative eye and a business savvy. That is to me, in my career, in my life, I have met literally, maybe I could count on one hand.
Yeah, David is very unique. Seriously.
No, it's really unique to be able to wear both of those hats, but still be so respectful of your creative partner, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. And I always feel like David is right. If I'm wearing an outfit, for example, what about a more of a fitted top or something?
Love him.
He's always right.
Love him.
You know,
tell him I love him. Every guy should go to a David training school.
But it's true, you know, and he's always so generous with his time, and he's given so much advice to young designers and young business entrepreneurs. He's just very knowledgeable, and he's a very, very good listener. So
and he has 2 daughters. So I think that also makes you an even better listener. He's got 3 women in his house.
He does have 3 women. That's true. And then plus on our team at Westman Atelier, we're like 98% women.
I imagine.
We probably have more men than that now, but I think it's just very harmonious, and there's just no kind of like, our values are the same. He's English. I grew up in Sweden. I'm half Swedish, and we both stand for quality, and we wanted to always create something that was different and that would stand the test of time, and that wouldn't be just, you know, a cash project that you know, we could just do and be done. You know, a lot of brands are like, I see them, they've been around for a couple of years and they're already for sale, and it's like boom, 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 transactional. And I just feel like we're not those kind of people. And I think we're creating the brand that is the closest it possibly could be to the 2 of us. And of course, with the brilliant team that we have. But I think it really couldn't be any other way if it was the 2 of us doing it, you know, in a matter that we wanted to, you know, where we decide.
What is the dream, Gucci, in terms of like, so you're building this brand, and what's great is you likely get to still pick and choose what you do in terms of how you work with different clients, because you do still do a lot with Anne Hathaway or Nicole Kidman or whomever. But I think like, as you continue to build Westman Atelier, like do you think about like do you just want to keep perfecting the 20 products? Are you like, okay, can't wait to launch skin, or I'm just going to expand the range? Or like, is there, I mean, you kind of already answered this. You're not really going at this as in 3 years, we want to sell this for X. It's sort of like, let's continue to build the dream. We love what we're doing. It's doing really well.
Mm-hmm.
But like, do you guys talk a lot, or do you like about what's next, or do you just keep living in the moment and keep kind of doing what you're doing? Because I'm sure the girls, you know, I mean, you have 3 children, a son and 2 daughters, all just magnificent. Are you like, oh my God, I want the kids to work in this, or you just don't even think about that?
I mean, sometimes I think, well, both of us do think that we want to, you know, leave a brand that it is rooted in integrity and will be around and bigger and better when they, you know, come of age. And so, you know, they can feel proud. And I think that's always been our goal, is to create something we all feel that our children, that we would want our children to, you know, to the girls to be able to use and not worry that they're going to get, you know, some sort of disease from the ingredient, you know. So I think that's
bonus.
That's always been a goal. But, you know, we do talk a lot, obviously, about the business and about, you know, life and quality of life. And I do think there's a balance, you know, being realistic, but also knowing, you know, that some things may at some point need to shift slightly to be able to do bigger and better things. I feel that we absolutely are just getting warmed up. You know, since we have now 2 pure skincare products, we're you know, launching, we're working on more. We have a few other categories that we're entering. And I do feel that it's kind of nice, because I've always been interested in style and, you know, lifestyle, both, you know, wellness and home and all of those things. So I think there is a little bit of space to kind of expand
the brand.
Yeah. And cause I'm not just, you know, a fashion makeup artist.
Yeah, of course.
I'm living my, you know, the brand.
It's your lifestyle. It's the Gucci Westman lifestyle. It's the Westman Atelier lifestyle, which is even, I mean, I see it, but I also see it because I think, I don't know, I look at you as obviously like an iconic makeup artist, but I weirdly more see you as like you, the person, as the brand, because you're someone that also people want to show up at big events and wear great clothes and have your own style. And I also think as you expand your skincare, it's exciting, because I do think that taking what you are known for, that's not a bad thing. It's always great to be known for something. It doesn't mean you can't diversify and be known for a lot of things. But I think if you're going to be known for beautiful skin, I mean, that's a pretty great thing to be known as a makeup artist, because in my opinion, that's the most important thing you can be great at, you know, when it comes that's it. It's our biggest organ, for God's sake.
That's the money. That's the ticket.
Literally.
That is my biggest obsession, is the skin. And you know, I'll never forget, David and I had dinner with Bobbi Brown and her husband, Steven.
Oh, she's so sweet.
She's the coolest, smartest, coolest. And this was years before we launched. And I remember, you know, she was like, when are you going to launch a brand? You know, and I was like, well, I was really struggling when I got my office. David's like, the ideas will come to you. And Bobbi was like, the ideas will come to you. He's like, pull out tear sheets. And I was like, twiddling my, I was like, no ideas are coming to me. Okay. But I said to her, I think I want to actually do skincare. I want to launch with skincare, because I'm so passionate about skincare. But I've always kind of combined skincare and makeup. And she said, that was ridiculous. I'm known for makeup. I need to launch with a makeup, you know, line. And so I think that now we've done it well.
And you're in control of it. with your name on it.
And I think that all of the color products are rooted in skincare, and they are, we do have clinical studies on the products, and it's just nice to show that it's not like a pivot. It's not a marketing exercise.
Sure, of course.
Not a trend. This has been how I grew up, on an ashram, no meat. It's like, this is a real deal.
Do you eat meat now?
No.
So you've never eaten meat?
No.
Like your whole life? That's how you were raised?
Yeah.
I'm obsessed. Like before it was cool.
Before it was cool. It was definitely not cool when I was suffering in Sweden, eating potatoes for lunch.
Does it make you feel better? I haven't eaten meat since I was 16. Also before it was cool. And I did not grow up in an ashram and come from the biggest family of carnivores you've ever, like my parents still now, like foie gras, like steak tartare. I mean, you name it.
Oh, your little cute mom.
Mm-hmm. They love meat. My whole family loves meat. They love meat. They think I'm like a mental patient. They are.
I do think that a little bit it has to do with your body type, and if you're, you listen to what you need sometimes.
100%.
And I don't think I could have meat, to be honest.
No, you couldn't if you've never had it. I don't know that your body would know what to do with it.
Yeah, like Petal is so weird with, even fish now. She's like, she gets so worried about the fish, and and Dash is really mean to her because, like, a few years ago, she went through the stage of wanting to try chicken noodle soup. And Dash would say to her in Spanish, because she speaks Spanish to her nanny.
Oh my God.
He would say, "Oh, the chicken died in the noodles." Or but in Spanish, so it sounded, "Oh, el polo murió en la pasta." So mean. And so she's like, "El pollo," anyways. But,
I'm obsessed, and my listeners cannot see your dewy skin right now, but like I'm looking at Gucci right now, and her cheeks have this gorgeous like glow and dew on them.
Can I tell you?
Please tell me, is it baby cheeks? What is it?
It's this really beautiful, bright bluish fuchsia, and it just brightens
really
your complexion. And when you see it in a compact, you're like, "Ooh, I don't know about that." But when you put it on the skin, it's like, it will look so good on you.
That's something to talk about, because I do think so many people, for us like civilians, that look at makeup and we're like, okay, we know the bronzy, we know the pinky, we know whatever, but you see, to your point, something that might look like a fuchsia or a bluish, whatever, you're like, oh, no. That is not for me.
Not for me.
But it might be.
But then it might be, and it becomes completely for you once you see what it does to your skin. It's so flattering I would say every single person that I've put it on, they're like, "Oh my God."
Well, Gucci, I think you're going to have to do that on social. You're going to have to show that, because I think you should show that, like, oh, you think this won't work on you?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea.
Yes.
Rachel, not just a really beautiful face.
Okay. I want to thank my beautiful friend, Gucci, for being on the pod today. I mean, Gucci is, she's this sort of like quiet force. She's got this extraordinary story. She is incredibly humble. She has been one of the most sought after makeup artists since I started in 2003. We met working with a mutual client and friend many, many moons ago. And to now see her still being booked for the biggest celebrities in the world 20 years later, and having launched the most beautiful cosmetic line, Westman Atelier, that is sold all over the world. And it's so good. I am so obsessed with it. It's always in my bag and always on my vanity. And just hearing Gucci's story, which I didn't even really know, even more than half of, was so incredible and so unbelievably inspiring. I hope you loved this episode as much as I did. Okay, thank you so much for listening to Climbing in Heels. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the iHeart app, or wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss a single episode this season. And be sure to follow me on Instagram at Rachel Zoe and the show at Climbing in Heels Pod for the latest episodes and updates. I will talk to you soon. Mwah.
Does money stress you out? Let Facet flip your financial chaos into clarity.
We feel way more confident and secure in our finances, and with that comes a sense of freedom.
Financial planning from Facet is here to help you improve your life today, tomorrow, and every day after that.
Facet was really the place where we saw all of the tools and the people coming together.
Visit Facet.com, FACET.com to learn more. This ad is sponsored by Facet. Facet Wealth is an SEC registered investment advisor. This is not an offer to buy or sell securities, nor is it investment, legal, or tax advice. These testimonials are from current Facet members who are not compensated. All opinions are their own and not a guarantee of a similar outcome.
Mariah Carey's Christmas Time. Your favorite holiday tradition, live across North America. Mariah Carey, performing the best holiday songs and more. Get tickets now at livenation.com. A magical night with Mariah Carey's Christmas Time.
This is Dr. Laurie Santos from the Happiness Lab. Many people have questions about how to improve levels of happiness. Living a healthy lifestyle is one sure way of increasing happiness. And a good place to start is with your oral health. Just a few small changes to your oral care routine, such as changing your toothpaste to Colgate Total, can lead to beneficial changes in your oral health. Colgate Total helps stop oral health problems like gingivitis and cavities before they start, because preventing oral health problems is a lot easier than treating them. Be dentist ready and get Colgate Total at shop.colgate.com/total.
Sorry, Pumpkin Spice. This October is all about the beach. Cheap Caribbean Vacations is here to let you know that the fall is one of the best times to book and travel. Think about it. When the kids are back in school, you'll find more savings on flight fares and resort rates and less crowds taking up spots at the pool and beach. Check out Cheap Caribbean's Beachtoberfest sale for fall beach deals up to 60% off. And trick or treat yourself to an all-inclusive vacation. Go to cheapcaribbean.com to get started.
It's time for today's Lucky Land horoscope with Victoria Cash.
Life's gotten mundane, so shake up the daily routine and be adventurous with a trip to Lucky Land. You know what they say, your chance to win starts with a spin. So go to LuckyLandSlots.com to play over 100 social casino-style games for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Get lucky today at LuckyLandSlots.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.